Hello everyone, it's me Arden Lee. I am back today with another video, and today's video is about the fact that if you are on a journey of personal growth and development and spiritual growth and self-improvement, if it doesn't get messy for you at some point, you're probably not doing it right. This video is meant to highlight what is perfectly normal about our growth journeys that can sometimes seem raw or vertiginous or frightening. But the truth is, if we could know where we were meant to end up and not have to get comfortable in that unknown, we would probably be there already. So that's the whole point, is opening up to more and more expansion. And in that process, going through that awkward phase, that muck, right? Where we're confronting everything. We're realigning everything. Our old clothes no longer fit, and we're not sure yet if we're supposed to go shopping for new ones yet or not, or if we're still growing, still doing more work. So today we're going to dive into that particular topic. Of course, if you have not yet done so already, I would love to invite you to subscribe to my channel and or like my page, depending on where you're viewing this video. And if you're not yet familiar with me and my work, my name is Arden Lee, and I am the creator of the Repatterning Project, and that is an 8-week course where we hack our beliefs, we examine all of our conscious patterns, we go through this work, this very work that I'm speaking about. We take everything out of our closets, lay it all out on the bed, Marie Kondo style. Not literally, of course, we're talking about our life choices, our patterns, our habits, but we're examining everything that we've become accustomed to and determining whether it still serves us anymore, determining whether we want to keep it or get rid of it. We want to optimize our patterns so we can fast track ourselves on the path to success, happiness, well-being, achieving all our dreams. Getting from that place of stuckness, that place of, I don't know what to do, I don't know why everything just keeps happening to me, and getting to that place of empowerment, calling back our power and our sovereignty. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, go check out the description box. And in the description box, I have a link to a free PDF guide about the Repatterning Project, so you can check it out, see what it is we're all about, decide if it's right for you. And I also have a link to a free Facebook group that I moderate called the Repatterning Parlor for people who are interested and want to come together and support each other on their individual personal growth journeys. It's important to have that social support, so we would love for you to come and join us. Come hang out with us, and we will all work toward that fulfillment together. All right, so let's talk about this idea that we start down a healing journey, we set an intention, and then all of a sudden, the earth just opens up under our feet. And all of a sudden, we're in this unknown territory. And it gets really scary sometimes. It certainly can get scary. It certainly can feel like, whoa, this is not what I anticipated that I signed up for. This is not what I thought I was going to be dealing with. What is going on here? And I want to say first and foremost that if you're comparing yourself to someone else, or you're seeing someone who looks like they have, a super spiritual life, or they have all their shit together, they have it all, they have everything all sorted out, or they're on this journey and they're just, showing up to their yoga classes perfectly punctually, in their Lululemon athletic wear, athleisure, right? And they look like they have it all together. Well, chances are they may be, living a perfectly decent path for they know their path better than anyone. They may be, doing exactly what calls to them. They may have done a lot of work in the past that you're not necessarily seeing. But if they're on a path, it's not going to look pretty. It's not going to look precise. It's not going to be measured like that. It's going to be messy. It's going to be awkward because you are, in so many ways, ripping up the foundations of the life that you've spent all this time building, because you've been building it on false beliefs. You've been building it on beliefs and patterns that weren't actually serving you. And if those algorithms worked the way that you think they did, right? I'll give you an example from my own life. My own life was very much built on the idea of, if I am valuable to people, then they will work to protect me and nourish me, right? So the more value I add, then that earns me protection and safety. Well, that didn't work out for me very well, because I would keep adding more and more value, and I would attract people who wanted that value, but didn't align with reciprocating it back to me. Because if you give someone the world, they'll generally take it. And if you pretend you have no needs, you'll tend to attract people who agree with you. So here I was, having built an entire life on the foundation of this pattern, this algorithm: if X, then Y. If I add value to people, then they will value me. And it was false. It was wrong. I had an entire career to tear up. You know, I wouldn't even say I had an entire career to tear up, because for so long I worked on just being worthy that I didn't actually even work on investing in building out a business for myself the way that I am doing now. You know, I never fully committed to that path. It was time for me to start committing to things. And naturally, when you start doing something that you've never done before, or doing something in a way that you haven't yet done it, stuff is going to come up for you. It's going to take some adjustment. It's going to be uncomfortable. So if you start comparing yourself to that perfect looking spiritual personal development person who, you know, shows up every day at yoga and seems to have everything all together, well, either they've already done a lot of work, or maybe they haven't done any work and they're bypassing all of their deep trauma. Maybe they wake up, you know, crying every morning, but then they like pull it together and they're like, I have to go to yoga and act like I'm perfect, right? It's very, very possible. Or, you know, they've already done the work in the past. But regardless, that's not what a spiritual journey looks like. That's not what a personal development journey looks like. If you are doing the actual real work, you are going to have to tear things up. You are going to have to roll around in the mess for a little while. You're going to have to accept that that's how growth happens. Virgil is on the counter, so I'm taking you with me. Virgil, absolutely not. We do not do that. We do not go on the counter. All right, thank you for your patience. So, here we go. You are so bad. All right. So when you're in that muck, just know, I went over this with my students today in today's webinar, in today's session for the Repatterning Project. We went over all the things to do if you're in that muck and it's uncomfortable. If you're in that growth phase and you feel awkward and you're not sure what to do, we went over all the ways to take care of yourself, all the things to keep in mind, all the things to remember, and how shaky it can feel knowing that you're looking into your future, you're looking down the timeline, and because you are dealing with the unknown, you cannot possibly predict when this path will be over for you. I mean, spoiler, it's never really over. We're always growing, we're always learning, and we're always developing. But certainly there are times when we can say, okay, I've called in some stability, it's time for some rest. Or, oh, maybe I'm actually much farther along than I thought I was. You know, I'm here now. I'm here. So, oh, wow. That wasn't so bad, right? So as we're looking down the timeline in front of us, it can be so tempting to be like, when am I going to be there? When am I going to be there, right? And so often, surrendering to the unknown means stopping asking, are we there yet? Because that's just another form of resistance, right? So surrendering to this muck, surrendering to this unknown, of saying, wow, I don't know when I'm going to feel like I've landed. I don't know when I'm going to feel stability. Even when I feel stability, I might feel stability in one issue, and then I might immediately have another issue that gets brought up that I want to tackle next, right? We're always in line with this by the intentions that we set, right? The minute we start to say, okay, it's my intention to wrap this up, it's my intention to slow down, give me everything else I need to transmute, everything else I need to heal, just give it to me so I can so I can call in some stability next, right? And it happens. But who knows how long it's going to be before you call that stability in, right? You might be working on that for a while. You might have multiple plates spinning at once, and you might have to, learn how to manage that. Are you going to be good and not jump on the counter again? Are you going to be a good kitty this time? I want to let you leave like you want to, but I don't want you jumping on the counter, okay? So all of that is to say that you want to get comfortable with all of that. You want to get comfortable with being in an awkward phase. If everything looked perfect on the outside, it wouldn't be accurate. The more authentic we can be, the more transparent we can be with ourselves, then, ironically enough, the realer the journey gets. It's in that spirit of resistance where we want everything to look neat and cookie cutter that we're actually resisting the true journey. I love for things to be neat, you guys. I'm so left-brained. I love to be organized, and I've gotten to a point where I'm like, okay, I recognize that one of my coping mechanisms when I'm in the midst of personal development is to look down the timeline and try and figure out what the future is going to look like and what I'm calling in for myself. And that's amazing. That's actually something that everyone should be doing anyway, because of course we want to be intentional about the direction we're going in, and we want to be intentional about our goals. But when things show up and things shift and things change, I've managed to detach from feeling like I need things to show up in the way that I anticipate. Okay, if I do this work on myself, then this will show up in my life, right? Well, maybe, maybe, or maybe what I will be shown are the next steps that I have to do after all that work that I did. Oh, okay, I got to this point, and now I'm up here, and I thought that once I'd be here, that everything would just all fall together. Well, actually, I'm here, but now I'm seeing what else I need or want to tackle to start calling that picture in more fully, right? I think an example for me is that when I started on this path, I was really just looking to solve my relationships. But the more I looked to really solve my relationships, I was like, wow, if I'm really intending for a future, if I'm really starting to get serious about, okay, let me stop being on my bullshit, getting into all kinds of dynamics that aren't healthy for me, what is healthy for me? Well, that's going to require me to call in some economic stability too. Because if I'm intending for a sustainable future with a partner, then I want to make sure that I have my finances together, I want to make sure I'm intending for that future so that as soon as that person walks in, I know that I'm ready to start thinking in those bigger terms, right? And when I started on this journey, I probably thought it was just about, finding somebody to date who wasn't going to hurt me. And it got so much bigger. And I'm sure I could have stopped anywhere along the way and I could have settled. But when we align with these journeys, it's so much about our soul purpose. So it's what our soul is telling us. It's the way that we're following our hearts. And this, for me, this journey ended up being about everything. It was about me taking myself seriously as a musical artist. It was about me being willing to invest in myself, because that was how my self-worth was showing up. It's also about me getting my finances together. It's also about me creating a life that I love, creating a dream life, creating from that place of really calling in the future that I want. So it ended up taking on so many different aspects. Not just being about, oh, can I, heal my attachment wounds? Okay, yeah. But then, wow, all this other stuff too. Once I finish that, it's like, oh, there's this and there's this and there's this. So all I'm saying is, if there's not change happening, if there's not times where you're like, oh my gosh, what am I even doing with my life? What am I going to do next? If you're not getting messy, it's probably not real growth. Personal development, personal growth, spiritual growth calls up everything that is not in alignment with your purpose. That's probably going to be a lot. So if there's not that point of change where you're losing things that you've built, you're losing friendships that you had once aligned with that you no longer align with, and you're changing your values and you're not sure who you are anymore, and it can be scary. But if you're not there, then probably there's not a lot of real work happening. So if you look at someone and you see someone who really looks like they have it all together, either they've already done the work or they're not doing the work. But rest assured, if you're doing the work, it's going to be unpredictable. It's going to require a lot of surrender. And ultimately it's going to look and feel a little messy for a while. And you just keep choosing your light and keep going one step at a time. That's how we do it. I love for things to be neat, you guys. I love to constantly analyze what's next and what's happening, and that's great. That's how I stay organized throughout this process. That's how I get anything done at all. But I also understand that what I felt 6 months ago that I was calling in is going to be different from what I'm calling in now, because I've grown during those 6 months. If I think that I know what's going to happen for myself another 6 months from now, that's great for me to hold an intention. But I might get to that point and say, oh wow, I actually have something much bigger, and I'm glad I waited. So all things to keep in mind. Don't worry if it's messy. It's how it's supposed to work. Thank you guys for listening. Come join us in the parlor. Click on that link. We would love to welcome you into the fold, and I will see you in the next video.